everybody, and welcome back to Nubeva's channel. We're, of course, sitting here once again with Randy. We want to talk about some of the numbers that have been happening lately, Randy. But first off, how are you doing?
Excellent. Weather's becoming much more like California-like. I'm not going to try to talk about it too much because I know I was visiting my daughter in Cornell, and that was it was snowing and cold, so I'm not going to rub it in too much. But,
yeah. Let me look
California
outside.
California is becoming California.
So, good for you out in California, Randy. But anyways, so tell me about some of the you're talking to me off camera, saying things are going pretty positively. Tell me about some of the.
Yep, absolutely. I think a few sessions ago, I talked about the fact that we're focusing on two things right now. One is we're on the direct deals that we go and sell to directly on end users and customers. We're attacking a specific vertical. I talked about last time about the AEC vertical, and we may go to the legal, to essentially law firms and legal. But right now, it's all about on the direct deals about AEC deals. Okay? Right now, that is doing tremendously well. We're knock on wood that don't quote me again. This will never happen again. But our close rate is about 50%. So what that means is, for every 2 deals that we go engage with a customer on, whether they talk to us or we reach out to them in some way from a marketing standpoint, we close 1 of them. And that's phenomenal. Typically, from an outreach standpoint, I think I would be happy at somewhere between 5 or 10%. That would still be considered phenomenal. So I don't think you'll ever hear me say we're at 50%. Now, obviously, we started shipping the product at the end of January, so it's good to have some momentum. But that is phenomenal. So remember that when we close a deal, we close them for 3-year deals. This is a SaaS deal, so people are paying. Frankly, the only thing they're looking for is if they get hit by a ransomware, we're there to save them. There's really nothing else other than the fact that we're running that we actually offer from a service standpoint. So our cost is exceptionally low. So we don't have any ongoing maintenance cost other than to make sure that the sensors actually run. In the field today, we have about 100,000, over 100,000 sensors deployed. Okay, so it's going pretty well. We're getting very good data from people. And as I mentioned, I think a couple of sessions ago also, we're waiting for a wave of ransomware to hit. Right now, statistics say 38% of companies with 1,000 or more people get hit by ransomware. And so really what we're looking for, what will propel us, what will accelerate our adoption is really our ability to share with people the fact that we were able to help out some of our customers. So that's really what I'm eagerly waiting. Obviously, winning deals and getting installed, getting running is fantastic. That's what we're there to do. But ultimately, our value is really people buy us for just one thing. That's one very important thing, which is when they get hit by ransomware, we revert that and get them back to business. Okay, yeah. So that's the vertical side of things. The other focus is really on MSSPs. These tend to be more of the folks that are IR firms. So when a larger company or a government entity gets hit by ransomware, the procedure is they'll actually call their own lawyers, which calls their insurance company, which reaches out to an IR firm. Okay, of the insurance's choice. Okay, so this is incident response of the insurance firm's higher policy. Okay, so they'll bring in their own people and they'll say, okay, at this point, do we pay or do we try to find a way to revert it, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so those are the people that tend to be engaged with us at this point, bringing us very large deals that we're discussing with. That's becoming much more of a typical grind at the enterprise sales level. From one sense, they're eagerly wanting, they reach out to us, they want to go ahead with it, and their end customers want to go ahead. But at the same time, keep in mind that they were also providing a service to stop the ransomware to begin with. Yeah. And so that's always a challenge, right? If you're the entity that sold to someone, hey, I will sell you this EDR or this endpoint protection, AI protection that stops the ransomware. Now, on the other hand, I'm trying to sell you something that in the case where 38% of the time when I sold you previously didn't work, I've got this other thing that works. So yeah, we're maneuvering through that. That's no different than that was part of our expectation. We're working through that. And at the same time, they're doing well. They're convincing people that, hey, what I sold you is there to protect you the best we can. But at the same time, you need this other thing to revert and get you back in business.
Makes a lot of sense. So tell me about some of the other challenges you've been facing lately. I mean, obviously, it sounds like it's been a lot of momentum, a lot of good news, but tell me about the other side.
Yeah, so another challenge would be the fact that when a larger entity, some of the multi-billion-dollar entities, they typically have a lot of different cybersecurity deployed. For example, they'll have one of the top-end EDRs, they'll have a top-end endpoint protection, AI-based typically, and they have lots of different solutions out there. And so we need to get in line, to get in the budget line, to make sure that they consider us. Hey, if you get hit, well, now you're gonna know better, or one of your competitors gets hit, then they're gonna think, maybe I'm gonna get hit. Okay? Yeah. So what we found out in working with one of our IR firms, MSSPs, is that last year there was a very high-profile insurance company that was hit. They paid out $40 million, and we have now gotten data on the fact that they had deployed the #1 EDR in the market today, and the #1 endpoint protection AI product that is in the market today. And I'm told they have several thousand cybersecurity experts also looking at the outputs of all these products that they had purchased. And yes, they were still hit, and obviously they still decided to help their business instead of trying to back up and recover in some other way, which can take weeks. They decided to pay out the $40 million. So that's one of the benefits of working with the MSSPs. We get a lot of data points of understanding what exactly is actually happening in the ransomware. Okay? So I think there was a statistic that just came out that last year, it was the highest paid amount in ransomware ever, many times more than the previous year, well in the billions. Okay, so this problem is not getting any better.
Yeah.
So I would think selling into a large entity, typically in companies with 1,000, several thousand employees, that's a much easier sale, because they go in, they realize, wait, I need this badly, and I can't afford not to have this. When you're talking about a company with hundreds of thousands of employees, then all of a sudden they consider, well, we bought this EDR, we bought this endpoint protection, we bought this, we bought that, we have a firewall. How does this fit in? And so that would be some of the challenges that we face, which is typical enterprise. We got to go in and let them understand, hey, all that statistically is going to help you 62% of the time. You still got 38% of the time that something else needs to happen, or you pay the ransomware. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, when it comes down to it, those very large businesses, there's just a lot of moving parts. It take a little bit more time to convince every single department and so on to come on board. And like you said, there's already a lot of competition. But as you had also mentioned, those numbers kind of don't lie. They need it significantly, significantly more.
Exactly.
They'll pay up if it comes down to it, because days offline is millions to billions of dollars of revenue gone. So
right. And insurance does not pay for that. When your business is down for however many days, the insurance would pay for you to recover the IR process. In other words, if you have a backup process, they'll pay for the personnel to come back and restore it. If you want to pay for the ransomware, the insurance will pay the IR firm to actually pay your ransom on your behalf and get your files back. That's what insurance pays for. But if you're down for 22 days, the average downtime for when you use your own backup and restores, insurance does not pay for that. And obviously the businesses that you may have lost based on your reputation for not providing a consistent service to your own customers, insurance certainly is not going to pay out for that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, Randy. Yeah, I feel like you've given some more insight into how things have been going lately. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything people should be looking out for?
Yes, we do actually have a couple of shareholders were asking a lot of these questions. One specific one they were asking is about Gartner. I think we were asked that, I want to say, about a month ago, and I talked about the fact that from our perspective, our field is brand new to Gartner. So in other words, there's no other like-minded solution out there. So if you look at AWS, Amazon's AWS, which is a multi-billion-dollar business from a few years ago, for the first 7 or 8 years, they had no like-minded competition. And hence, if you were looking at Gartner or any of the analysts for a report of what they thought about AWS in competition with anybody else, there was no such thing, because there was nothing to compare to. Okay? So that's one of our challenges about Gartner. But having said that, we actually got 2 unsolicited from our end briefings into Gartner. So in other words, Gartner analysts actually called us for a briefing. So that's fascinating, because typically this is a much more of a pay to play kind of and this is well understood. So it's much more of a pay to play. We're certainly looking into beginning to invest into that now that the fact that they actually reached out to us, and we provided 2 briefings already on that. So clearly a lot of the largest customers, when they engage with us or engage with our resellers or MSSPs, our IR firms, they're going to ask about, hey, does Gartner have a report on that? And the reason why Gartner doesn't have one is because we're so new from a technology standpoint. But at the same time, I think given the traction that we're beginning to see, and at the same time, these unsolicited briefings that we're that people reach out to us on directly from Gartner, I think we're going to start, hopefully, knock on wood, beginning to see coverage. So,
Yeah, it makes sense. It's hard for them to make comparisons when you guys are kind of paving the way right now for
right.
them. Perfect.
Right.
Well, Randy, again, thank you for coming on and thank you for the updates. If anybody has any other questions, don't be afraid to send them over and we will dive into them for future videos. And we will have future updates coming soon. Randy, thank you for your time.
Thank you.